American Dad's been killing it this season. Seriously, it's putting Family Guy to shame. And in the latest episode, Klaus decides that the solution to feeling less left out in the family is to create his own tiny best friend by putting a guy's mind into a snail.
Am I a snail?
Meanwhile, Stan becomes a douchey reality star, shaking his juicy buns for the camera. This episode is definitely unhinged, but does it follow this season's positive trajectory? Let's break it down. But first, let me briefly touch on the previous 2 episodes that I unfortunately missed, starting with Season 20, Episode 2, The Flume Flume Room. And side note, what the hell is going on with American Dad's season numbers? Wikipedia lists this as Season 22, IMDb says Season 20, and although it's not on Disney Plus yet, it looks like it'll be Season 21 on there. But you know what, I'm just going to stick with what Hulu says, and it says Season 20. So Stan and Francine start couples counselling after he refuses to get involved in her favourite hobby, which is log flumes.
Stan is right. It's weird.
Yes!
And that may sound silly on the surface, but when Stan starts suspecting that Francine is having an affair with another log flume enthusiast, he sets out to find her and win her back. By the way, the best log flume ride in my opinion is definitely Jurassic World in Universal Studios. But what's yours? So American Dad takes the very overdone story of Stan and Francine having marital problems and somehow manages to make it feel fresh again. I loved this episode so much. Franny having this weirdly specific niche hobby was such a fun idea, and I really like seeing Stan gradually learn about it and eventually get into it too.
That's called a baby bump, right?
Yeah? How do you know that?
Their emotional one-on-one in the boat was really very well done, and I really like the story of Franny finding the lost legendary log flume built by some mysterious billionaire.
You completed my flume!
Oh my god.
And while I didn't love the side plot of Roger uncovering his safety deposit box, I did at least like how it connected back to the A-plot with the final ride music vinyl.
The song sucked, I thought. You can throw all of this away.
Other little details I loved was the callback to Francine's mimosa dance, and Bullock casually relaxing by reading Stan and Francine's couple counselling file.
A cozy blanket and Agent Smith's confidential couples counseling file.
Easily a 5 out of 5 episode. So now on to episode 3, Powering Through. As Stan does his usual Good Morning USA routine, he finds that Jeff and Rogu are filling in.
Where's the boy and the lady?
Steve's sick.
And this is why I never skip the American Dad intro. You never know when they're gonna switch it up. And I laughed so hard that Stan was actually kind of into Jeff cosplaying as Franny.
So you're just gonna stand there looking surprisingly hot in that dress? You're gonna help me look for it?
Yes, Steve is sick, and Stan thinks that he's a wimp for not just powering through with the illness. It turns out that Stan has never taken a sick day in his life, and he absolutely hates when other people don't push through like he does. So to teach him a lesson, Steve passes his cold on to Stan, and Stan makes it even worse by having Dr. Weitzman give him an experimental immune booster, which instead makes him gravely ill. And despite being on death's door, Stan still tries to power through. We then get another great callback to the intro where Stan tries to do his usual morning routine, and when Klaus tosses him the car keys, they embed straight into his skull. And oh my god, I was howling with laughter at this bit. Like the whole bit with Stan and his frail arm getting caught in the copier. And when the family is holed up in the bedroom panicking because Stan has gone feral, Roger immediately eats the entire food supply.
Hey, I said I was sorry, and it was 3 days ago now.
Steve eventually manages to cure Stan's feral madness by reassuring him that he's enough and that he's more than just his job. Oh yeah, and by also whacking him in the head. By the end, Stan learns that it's okay to take time off when you're sick, and that you don't always need to power through. Again, another hilarious episode, so another 5 out of 5 stars. But does the next episode keep up with this quality? Or does it nosedive like a log flume? Let's get into it. So episode 4, Camera Stan, opens with Stan touching up his Terra Alert magnet. And by the way, I will be adding one of those to my updated background. Thank you so much, by the way, for all the suggestions to my background, because I've added a lot of them to my list. And yes, don't worry, the golden turd will 100% be added. But the artwork isn't done yet, so feel free to keep leaving more ideas in the comments for what I should add in the background. So when Stan hears laughter coming from the living room, he instantly assumes that everyone is tickling Jeff until he wets himself.
I thought you guys were making fresh squeezed Jeff juice.
Yep, freshly squeezed Jeff juice is definitely a sentence that I never thought that I would hear. But it turns out what everyone is actually laughing at is Stan's old audition tape for the real world. His family teases him, saying that whenever he's in front of the camera, he instantly starts acting like a total idiot. But Stan rebuffs them by bringing up a time when he was super charming, like when he infiltrated a Canadian terrorist group armed with nothing but a hot dog. And this great bit of foreshadowing will pay off later. But before we move forward with the main plot, let's first follow Klaus's B-story. So when he finds out that the family went on a tour to a haunted football stadium without him, he is pissed. Feeling underappreciated, Klaus decides that he needs his own awesome quote-unquote small bro just like himself. He heads to a coffee house and Klaus's order had me in stitches.
Venti tap water and 8 cake pops.
This is literally my husband's order. He doesn't even like coffee, but he'll still go to Starbucks just to order a few cake pops. Anyway, when the cashier laughs at 69, Klaus knows that he's found the one, so he knocks him out and calls in a favor from Dr. Weitzman.
It's Klaus! The fish.
I feel like Dr. Weitzman has basically replaced Dr. Calgary as the show's go-to mad scientist that you call when you need something insane done. Unless when it comes to Roger that is, seeing as he doesn't know that he's an alien.
What the? I'm human.
So Dr. Weitzman puts the cashier's mind into a snail, and I love that Klaus makes him this tiny little bed and just assumes that he's gonna be totally cool with the situation.
It's all gonna be okay!
This was so funny, especially when the snail calls everyone at work for help, so Klaus just abducts them all and turns them all into snails. Klaus soon gets fed up with his new snail pals and just dumps them all back at their workplace. I always love when American Dad does these ridiculous stories that just keep escalating. But that said, I do wish this subplot was a little longer. I wanted more of Klaus trying to hang out with his new tiny buddy, only to slowly start treating him the same way that the Smiths treat him, like leaving him out of plans and taking him for granted, so it tied back more directly to the setup. I just wanted a little more from it. Now let's discuss the main plot of the episode. So Stan is annoyed that his family doesn't believe that he could make it as a reality star. And what do you know? Roger just so happens to be producing a bunch of shows.
America's Next Top Bottom. I'm actually all 3 judges on that too.
In fact, Roger thinks that Stan would be perfect for his upcoming show, Gary and Boozle's All-Stars. And sure, it's only going to air exclusively on flip phones and gas station TVs, but Stan is completely on board. The second Stan gets in front of a camera, his inner obnoxious frat boy comes out. But damn, Stan does have some bouncy buns, I'll tell you that. And despite all the colourful personalities, everyone is actually polite and gets along just fine. Well, everyone except for Stan, who's obsessed with nut taps and stuffing his farts in people's faces. The show is a big hit, so much so that it's discovered by those Canadian terrorists that Stan mentioned earlier. You see, Stan infiltrated their group, stole their C4 to stop them blowing up Niagara Falls, and faked his own death. And by the way, I love that Stan's disguise is literally just a sausage and a moustache. So for the final episode, it's revealed that the show's real title is Gary on Boozle's Imbeciles, and Stan is crowned the biggest idiot. As this is going on, Stan discovers that the Canadians have found him and plan to blow up the building. But just as Stan slips into full CIA mode, Roger puts the camera on him, turning him back into a douchey frat boy.
Oh no! The terrorists must have jammed the signal, so we're stuck on air!
Knowing they're all going to die unless Stan snaps out of it, the family realizes that his training is still buried in there somewhere. And while still acting like a complete douchebag for the cameras, Stan manages to take out the Canadians with absolute ease. I do love these moments where we're reminded just how much of a dangerous badass Stan can be. So in the end, Stan saves the day and proves to his family that he really could make it as a reality star. The episode ends with Roger signing Tuttle up for the real Squid Game. Now, this episode wasn't quite as strong as the previous ones in this season, but it's still way better than anything Family Guy is putting out right now. And while I do wish that Klaus's plot was fleshed out a bit more, I still loved it. And while we have seen Stan give off some kind of douchey frat boy energy before, it's still made for a really fun story here. Also, Klaus watching Stan's show on his calculator was brilliant, and I liked the little references to Roger's old personas too.
This is another Valentine! Still, it'll mean the world to Clip Clop.
So yeah, I'm giving this one a solid 4 out of 5 stars. But what do you think of the season so far? And I still can't believe we have to wait all the way until April 12th for their next episode. A whole month. I can't wait that long.